Why isn't JB get that same fucking respect that everybody else gets? The crew chief gave him that respect. He was like, you know what? You're a superstar by right. I'm going to let you vent. I'm going to let you have this one. I'm going to give you the first seat, but I'm going to leave it at that. Keep venting, keep venting. Eventually, your team's going to pull you away, and it'll be that. And then you got this loser that had nothing to do with it. I don't even know where he came from. You're the third fucking referee. Stay in your goddamn lane. Let's get this party started. Dear Legacy, please excuse my balls. Welcome back, y'all. This is the morning edition. It's the morning edition of Please Excuse My Balls, brought to you by Dear Legacy Sports. It's your boy, Kevin B. the Brand, and this is episode 16. Guys, I thought I was going to be coming back on here and talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, but clearly, we got to first start. I'm not even going to start there. I know I got to address the elephant in the room. We also got to talk about the NBA canceling Magic City night. I was like, wait a second. Now I was looking forward to see the highlights on that one, but nope. Instead, we got NBA players dropping second highest points, 83 in the game. We got people reneging blockbuster deals that's shaping franchises and the NFL to be a whole. In the world of NBA, we're trying to push through these last 20 games. NFL free agency, legal tampering begins. The league year started yesterday. But let's jump into the kickoff today with your opening headlines. A little bit of a sad news to report. The West Bridgewater Wildcats third grade travel team, Bartholomew Killer Bees, lost their game in the semis last weekend. We did lose to the number one seed, Mass Premier Norfolk, 46-30. Shout out to those guys. They actually did go on to win the entirety of the whole tournament. I think our boys, they played hard. They put in a lot of work. It's just, there was little things. The added cliche, you beat yourself. I think it would have been a closer game, and we would have seen who would have dug deeper and actually got the win. But unfortunately, those kids, they knew what they was doing. They was running double picks off of us, and we just could not figure it out, no matter how many times I try to explain it. But it was something we didn't see all season. So they knew single picks, but double picks, running baseline plays and all that. So shout out to that coach. He had their team well prepared, and they executed at the right time. They didn't show it to us till dang near into the second half and we was still managing to get it close to. We was pulling in within 5 a couple of times, but we just couldn't get over that hump. And it is what it is. My boys had a great season. It doesn't take away from what they did all season. They played very well through this playoff run that we honestly shouldn't have been in the first place. We closed out the season strong, and we happened to sneak into the playoffs. We did an upset in the first round. We could have upset it in the second round and been playing for the championship, because the team that they ended up playing in the championship, we played them in the regular season and we beat them. So it was highly likely that we could have snuck into this thing and won the whole thing. But it is what it is. I did appreciate seeing my boys feeling the feels, because as a coach and as a competitor, it goes to tell you that they understood the magnitude of the game, even at third grade, right? It's not because of the loss. They actually believed that they could have won the situation, and little things, some of my boys was coming up and they was taking blame. Like even Caden was coming up and he was laying blame on himself. And I tried to explain to him, like, listen, even JT loses from time to time also. That's his favorite player. He likes Jalen Brown too, but JT is like the cream of the crop for him. So I had to explain to him, like, even JT loses games. He even lost in a championship game. But you know what we got to do now? We got to work harder. We got to train. We got to get better, so that next year when we come back, we put ourselves in a better situation to win it all. So it is what it is. Great season for the WB Wildcats. I think a lot of our teams push into the playoffs. I don't know if any of us actually won it all. If we did, it would have been in the coaches chat anyway. So I'm assuming none of us won it all. So there's that. Now let's get to another. Let's address the elephant in the room that I was talking about earlier. I was wrong, y'all. I'll admit it. I can admit when I'm wrong. I mean, it is what it is. I had a logical theory, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. I guess JT had his own thoughts in mind. Bill Simmons was right. A few other pundits that I saw, they did have the Dallas game being where JT would return. End of the day, I don't care if I was right or wrong, because guess what? JT's back. JT's back. JB's playing at MVP caliber, and the 20 game thing, whatever. I saw my own two eyes saw what we saw these past two games with JT on the court, and the league better watch out. That's all I'm gonna say. Because if you didn't hear my thought process on it the last time, my thought was, you know, 16 or 20 games, is it really going to be that much of a difference? I didn't think it was, because I feel as though we know, and from reports of what was coming out on how practice was run, JT, how he's looking, all that. Yeah, they stayed quiet lip or whatever, but the little bit that we did get to see, or we did hear about, it was like, it was all pointing in a good direction. So it's like, did we really need the 20 games? And my whole thing is, if the team's been rocking good or whatever the case may be, it's not one of those, oh, can he integrate himself back into the team? That was never the process for him. My whole process was, come finish don't come and then be on a road trip in a gauntlet. You'd have Cleveland Thunder, San Antonio Thunder, OKC Thunder, then you get the Washington Wizards, then you hosting the Timberwolves. My whole thing was, I don't know if those were going to be the games that I wanted to try to figure it out, how I feel and get momentum. I'm trying to come back to the Washington game, because then all you have is Minnesota after that, and then a couple gimme games thereafter. So you're getting what you need to get your legs back underneath you, but at the same time not going through that gauntlet, because those teams are going to try to test the Boston Celtics. You know, even though we are who we are, we're second in the East or whatever, this was supposed to be a gap year, but we are still the measuring stick for some of these other teams. They haven't done it yet. Cleveland has not done it yet. OKC, they've done it. They've reached the mountaintop, and they know that they could beat us. So that one, you put that to the side. But San Antonio ain't done nothing yet. You know what I mean? Like, some of these teams that are top of the West or top of the East, you haven't done it yet. So my whole thing is, they're going to give you their best shot, and I'm not trying to give y'all nothing to any type of momentum to think when we get into the playoffs that you could do. Nah, that was my thought process. But what I didn't realize is, I'm thinking of it through a fan's perspective, to a pseudo pundit perspective, not really thinking of it from the competitor standpoint. JT is a competitor. He's not going to sit there and duck smoke, right? He wants to go in, oh, yo, this is when I want to come in right here, because I get the home crowd. It's against a good enough opponent. We're talking about Cooper Flag and crew. The Dallas Mavericks they got a few years before. Next year, the Dallas Mavericks should be pretty decent. You know, they got something. They just need to get their health back in order. Because I think Lively, Gafford, and all those other guys, those guys are intricate pieces on what they're trying to build out there around Cooper Flag. So next year should be a better year for Dallas. But anyways, JT ain't ducking no smoke. He was like, no, I want to come back in that gauntlet. I want those are the games that I'm in. And we didn't really know what JT was going to look like. So that plays a major factor in it all in itself. You know what I mean? So shout out to JT for being a better competitor than I was. You know, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I would have ducked that smoke. I would have came back with the easy part of the schedule, 16 games, and let's make this playoff push. You know, but I also believe that where I was wrong is, I thought JT was coming off the bench. Clearly, I was wrong. The man started. I thought he was going to be playing 15, 20 minutes. Clearly, I was wrong. His minute restrictions was to 27 minutes. I think last year he was averaging about 33 in the regular season, 33, 35 in the regular season. And in the playoffs, you ramped that up by another 5 minutes or so. So we're already at 27. Okay. All right. Cool. And it wasn't like, when I'm watching the game, it was shocking to see how good he looked. Now, granted, We understand like he's not full 100% Jayson Tatum, but I always said a 70-80% Jayson Tatum is better than your best player at 100%. I'll stand by that. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown is better than your best player at 70-80% any given time. I'm not talking about the generational talents. Granted, he's 41 now, but LeBron James is a different category. You know, Luka is a generational talent, but then he ain't playing defense like JB is. He ain't grabbing rebounds like a JT. You know what I mean? The J brothers, they're in a different class of their own, you know? And this is not just me being a fan. This is just pure facts. Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the league. Jayson Tatum is by far the best scorer, facilitator that I've seen in a long time. You put those two together, it's problem. It's problems. And then you keep it all in line with the Derek Whites, the Peyton Pritchards, the Sam Hausers, and then you just keep building off of that. And in people go, out people go. It doesn't matter. It still stays the same. But my man played 27 minutes, flirted with a triple-double, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists versus Dallas. Brown is still being his effective, still same self at 24 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. 2 days later, they go on the road to play at Cleveland Cavaliers. He plays another 27 minutes, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. JB is still leading the way with 23 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So you mean to tell me the Boston Celtics is doing this with Jayson Tatum with only his second game back? League, you better watch out. But as excited as I was to see Jayson Tatum come back and we get the 2 wins in our belt, it was a good win in Cleveland. You know, they're at full strength. We're at full strength. Let's play this. I think they were still missing Maxx Strus. That'll be a difference maker with Maxx Strus shooting abilities and all that. But I liked what I seen on both sides of the ball. And I'm glad that we got the win. But I also knew, as great as that was, the real true test is going to be against the number 2 San Antonio and number 1 OKC. And I'm not saying we got to win those games. I wanted to see, can we play competitive in those games, keep it close, and if we lose, cool, because we don't got 100% Jayson Tatum yet. What are we running? How do we look when we're playing against a Wemby? How do we look when we're playing against a Shea and crew? You know what I mean? That's what I really want to see. Those was going to be the test for me. And then I'm like, bet. We're gonna get the San Antonio game. We ain't get the OKC game because that gets played tonight. Well, tonight for me. By the time you see this, the game would have happened. But with that being said, I'm sitting here looking at it. I was like, all right, let's see how competitive we could be with a lesser than Jayson Tatum going against one of the hottest teams in the league, and we get the game, national televised game. Jayson Tatum, 27 minutes again, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. JB was playing bully ball. JB understood this was going to be, these next 2 games was going to be very key for his MVP candidacy. In 15 minutes, Jaylen Brown had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal. And all of a sudden, a referee decides that, nah, we don't want this matchup anymore. JB, you're out of here. That's a conversation for later on. So JB gets ejected. That's why he only played 15 minutes. Which, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Wemby played great. But I will say this, those 15 minutes, Jaylen Brown was taking it to Wemby. They was pulling Wemby away from the court and getting the lanes that they wanted to. That 15 minutes looked very good against San Antonio. But San Antonio won the game. It is what it is. But like I said, it was all about seeing how did we look. Now tonight against OKC, I want to see how we look as well. Win, lose, or draw, I don't care. I just want to see how we look. Because these are just regular season games, 1 game. I want to see how we look, and because then when we have to match up with you in a 7-game series, what will that actually look like? If we don't look good, if we look like we're running in mud, is Jayson Tatum is going to take a little bit of time to get under his rule. How does JB interact? How does JB play? Not interact. How does JB play? Does he still keep playing that MVP caliber, or does he take it to another level? Which I think in San Antonio, he was taking it to that next level. And I believe the Celtics were going to win that game. I do believe that. But powers that be decided that it was not going to be that, and we move on. Last bit of news for headlines. This was a long headline segment. Last bit of news for the headlines is USA baseball team is in jeopardy of being eliminated after being upset by Italy 8-6. Apparently the coach thought that they already was locked in at 3-0, but apparently they wasn't locked in because by tiebreakers they could still end up losing. Italy needs to make so in order for USA to lose, Italy needs to win. But if they lose to Mexico, they could only lose. Mexico could only score 5 runs or less, and then they'll be in. It's some weirdness, guys. I don't know. Baseball is so weird. They make everything so complicated. But that's what I have for you guys in today's headlines. Let's jump right over into the king of sports. And in the headlines, really quick, we got the NFL versus the referees and labor talks. NFL wants better training and officiating, but the union wants it all to stay the same. Surprise, surprise. I've gone on my rants about the referees in both sports, both my love sports, NFL and NBA. And it seems to me that these referees love to insert themselves into certain situations. And here goes the NFL looking at the product, listening to the fans and seeing things where they could make it better. And now they're in talks with the referees, but these same referees are saying they want to keep everything the same. Why do you want to keep everything the same? Because you don't want accountability. You know, a lot of us are tired of the last 2-minute reports. I don't care about the last 2-minute reports. We lost. That loss impacts how the rest of the season is going to go. It's going to impact playoff seedings. It's going to impact people's jobs. People get fired and hired based off of their records. They're not going to remember that the referee did something wrong or had the wrong call here, had the wrong call there, ejecting a player in a national televised game. They don't remember that. They just remember you lost this game. It's wins and losses. It's crazy to me that you want to keep it the same. I don't, and I'm not in these talks. I'm just reading the reports. I don't know what the NFL is trying to push, but according to this report, the NFL wants better training and officiating, but the union wants it all to stay the same. Why? Because my whole thing is, if it's looking for better training and officiating, there must be some type of language in there where there's some type of accountability. Finally. Let's hold, not the, oh my God, they lose points and they won't be able to ref playoff games and Super Bowl games. I don't care about that. Because if my team don't make it to those things, it don't matter. Not going on a rant about this. Next bit of news we got is compensatory picks. Jesus. To the NFL teams, 33 picks went out to 15 NFL teams. The Ravens, Eagles, Steelers have 4 picks each. The 49ers got 3 picks. Cowboys, Broncos, Lions, Colts, and Raiders. Colts, Raiders, Rams, and Jets have 2 picks each. And lastly, the Packers, Chiefs, Vikings, and Saints all have a pick also. All that is the NFL gives away certain, I'm trying to bring it to layman's terms. They give away certain picks. When you lose players of certain caliber, they feel as though you should be compensated for it. Like when they walk out the door during free agency, and it's low round picks. I believe it's 3 to 7. It's not like you're getting a first rounder or a second rounder. But if they leave and they go to certain teams and they're still valuable. The language is weird, but this is their way of like, all right, we noticed that you lost some key players. We'll give you an extra pick, and that's how that comes down. There's articles and language that you can go and read about that to really understand it, but it's too much to try to figure out right now in headlines. And the last bit of news and headlines that I want to say is Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens pull out of the Maxx Crosby deal, the blockbuster Maxx Crosby deal that changed 2 franchises. Maxx Crosby was going to go to the Ravens, and the Raiders were going to get 2 first-round picks. First-round pick this year, the number 14 pick, and a first-round pick next year in 2027 pick draft that everybody is like gunning for. Everybody's trying to get into that 2027 draft class. Yes, there's a couple of names that are coming out of it, but there's no guarantee that those names are actually coming out. So it's very interesting for me because they pull out of the deal citing medical reasons. And for me personally, I know, okay, in business and in the league tampering starts on Monday. The league year does not start until Wednesday at noon. So that means you could get into agreements with players during free agency. This is the legal tampering. Before, you couldn't do that, and we all know people was making backroom deals because the moment the league year opened, you'll see a flood of deals start coming in. It is what it is. So the NFL decided, like, you know what? We're going to have a legal tampering period from Monday till Wednesday until the league year starts. So that means you could talk to players, you could negotiate deals, and you could come into agreements. But it doesn't come in official until the league year starts. That's one. Also, all trades, all deals are pending physical. All of them are pretty much pending physical. It's a sport that they're playing, right? So they want to make sure that what they're getting for the price tag that they're giving is worth it. Understandable. In business, that's how it works, right? There's ways where you can get out of every and any deal, right? It's like in real estate, right? If I'm showing I'm bringing clients to a house, we like said house, it looks amazing, great. We're putting in an offer, offers accepted, but there's clauses that we put in there, pending inspection, pending appraisal. You know, you could put this house on the market for $1.2 million, but I want to make sure that it's going to appraise for $1.2 million. Because if it appraises for $1.1 million, now we got to have a conversation. Let's negotiate this pricing here. Or unless my client has $100,000 that they're willing to give over, or better yet, in the case of sports, we go and do an inspection, and then we get into the basement, we find out that the foundation's completely kabooey. It's being held up by rotted wood as beams and all that stuff. Like, no, I'm not paying 1.2 for that. This thing is worth $700,000 now. And that's what we have here in this situation with Baltimore Ravens. They pull out of the deal with Maxx Crosby. Yes, they knew Maxx Crosby was coming off of a knee surgery. He literally was on crutches probably a few weeks ago, I'm hearing. He's been working, obviously, to the best of his ability. But unfortunately, he when they went in for the physical, the team doctors, and again, when you hear a player passes or fails in a physical, it's not like a checkbox thing. It's pass or fail. It's subjective, guys. One doctor could be like, oh, this looks great. Oh, it looks like we're about like 3 months away, or it looks like it's 6 months. It's subjective. The Ravens doctors felt as though, hey, based off of what we're seeing, by the time he's ready to come back, or the player that he once was, maybe he won't do it. Whatever the case may be, they don't have to disclose that, because guess what, guys? There's this thing called HIPAA laws. So it ain't like they could just be out there and be like, this is what we found. No, their doctors went to their team ownership and general manager and said, hey, based off what we've seen, we don't think it's worth 2 first-round picks. Now, you go to the World Wide Web and the social media side, everybody's going to try to tell you, oh, they didn't feel, they're reneging out of the deal because they're giving up 2 first-rounders, and now everybody's saying that it wasn't worth it. But, guys, we could do conspiracy theories on everything under the sun. It also didn't help that they pivoted the next day. They signed Hendrickson to a deal, 4 years, $112 million. It didn't cost them any draft capital. You're getting a guy that's not necessarily coming off of a major injury. You lock him up, but according to reports, they was trying to get Hendrickson and both Maxx Crosby anyway. So it wasn't about one player being swapped for another player. It's really just they did not like what they saw in the physical. That's what it came down to. I want to believe that the Ravens as an organization is not going to be the type to just be sitting there reneging off of a deal, especially of that magnitude, because you're talking about altering franchises. 2 franchises get altered. The Raiders are thinking, word, We got two number ones this year. We got the number 1 overall pick and we got the 14th overall pick. We got a number 1 pick next year. We're gonna go out. We're doing all these signings based off the salary cap that we have going on. And we're gonna build around our new quarterback, new coach. It's a new era in Las Vegas. And the Baltimore Ravens, I know they're the ones that pull out a deal, but you got to look at also they was making moves based off of the thought process that they had Maxx Crosby coming into town. They knew that he was coming off of a surgery, so that's not a surprise to them. It was just what they saw was not what they expected. That's what it comes down to. So instead of us going down these rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, it just didn't work out. It altered 2 franchises. It altered multiple franchises because, you know, my New England Patriots was on the Maxx Crosby sweepstake. The Dallas Cowboys was in there. Dallas Cowboys offered a 1 and a 2, I believe, from what the reports were saying. I don't know what the Patriots was offering. There was a lot of people that was calling for Maxx Crosby to try to figure out. It's just the Ravens, they doubled down and said, we're going to give you 2 number 1s. They got him into town. They seen the physical, and they said, based off of what we're seeing, it's not worth 2 number 1s. Now, I'm pretty sure the Vegas Raiders are not gonna talk to the Ravens, but now we're at a situation like, if he was in the sweepstakes before, why are we not calling? And I'm pretty sure this team's calling to see, like, they're probably doing lowball offers now. You know, I heard one person saying, hey, maybe it's worth 2 number 2s or a 2 and a late one. I don't know. For me personally, if you're talking about 2 number 2s, I would love my Patriots to get back in that situation, because that number 1 pick that we have this year at number 31, I don't know who they have on their draft board right now in New England, but is he better than AJ Brown? That number 1 is, in my opinion, is reserved to get an AJ Brown. I like some of the signings that you guys have been doing. We're gonna jump into that really quick. I like some of these signings that you've been doing in key areas. And the players that are departing, you're plugging in that hole with either the same or slightly better. Some might say even an upgrade, right? So I like what my Patriots are doing right now. They're not staying packed. Now, it's not the blowout like we had last offseason where we were just throwing money at everything. We have a core. Now we don't have to throw money at everything. Now we got to be strategic about it, right? And Vraves had told us he's looking to draft and develop. But I want you to you technically you did draft and develop. You drafted and developed AJ Brown. You drafted him in Tennessee, and now we get a chance to get like the better version of AJ Brown, and it's gonna cost us a pick 31. Give pick 31. Give I know we're a late second rounder, so maybe that's not enough for them or whatever the case may be, but let's figure this out. Because that's the move that I want to see, to be honest. And if we do that based off of some of these other signings that we did, now we go into the draft. Yeah, we don't have a number 1 pick. Cool, whatever. But we have other picks. We have a good amount of picks where we could go. You talk about draft and development. Let's go draft and develop. Let's see some of these other picks that the Patriots have been doing. So the Patriots traded center Bradbury for a 2027 5th-round pick to the Bears. They closed on a deal with Draymond Jones. Definitely was a big move right there, especially when we think about later on, a few days later, Chayson walks out the door. I was high on keeping Chayson. I think he had a breakout year last year. But going from $4 million to what he got, what did he get? I believe he got a $12 million deal 1 year. With who did he go with? I didn't even put that down here. I must have been in my feelings that he left. But in any event, so I like that move right there. That's one of those things where you're talking about, okay, we know we need a pass rush. He ain't Maxx Crosby. He ain't Hendrickson, but he ain't costing us $112 million. And right now, the deal for Maxx Crosby was 2 first-rounders. And we don't know what Vegas wants to do. Vegas could sit packed now. They was like, listen, we knew we was going to get this, and now we're not going to get it. So we're still in the driver's seat here. We have the asset. And in real estate and in most business, you always want to have the asset that people want. And you figure out what you want for it. Except for you, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, stop playing with me. I'm going to give you my number 1 and maybe a number 2. They signed fullback Reggie Gillum for 3 years, $12 million. signed guard Ali. I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Aaliyah Vera Tucker on 3-year, $42 million, worth up to $48 million. I love this move. The reason why I love this move, you get rid of Bradbury, and now you can move Wilson, 58, who struggled last year at guard. His true position is center. We can move him into center now. Now you go and sign this guard on the left side. I'm hoping to put him on the left side because our left side was struggling. And you're telling me I'm having faith that Campbell, it was the knee injury that had him struggling a little bit last year. He's going to have another year under his belt. We have to remember he was just a rookie. That shores up the left side of the line. I believe that signing right there, we got a nice beefed up dude, a veteran that we know can, and then now we moving people into their right positions. Now we kind of like, we solidified the offensive line. Now, after what I seen last year, I do need us to make sure that we have some nice backups, because I was questioning what these backups look like, because we're watching this young kid struggle in Campbell. We're watching Wilson struggling on the left side. The left side was struggling drastically, but we never made any changes. So I like this move. I also like the wide receiver Romeo Doubs agreeing to a 4-year, $80 million deal. Listen, I love Stephon Diggs. I loved what he did here, and not just on the field, but in a locker room presence as a leadership role with the New England Patriots. He became the number one target for our young quarterback. In a Josh McDaniels offense, we knew how to use Stephon Diggs. I didn't really want to see him go, but when we're talking about cap hits, when you're about to cost us $26 million, I think that's more of a business decision. Others will say that it's, off the field stuff and all that. Yes, off the field, he does have some issues, but I know what he did in that locker room. I know from what we could see on the outside, how much of a teammate he was, how much of a leader he was, right? That just means some of these other guys, they're gonna have to step into that role. They're gonna have to step into that role and do what needs to be done. Patriots did release linebacker Anthony Jennings. I'm a fan of Anthony Jennings, but you release him, you save about $4 million. I think the actual number is $3.8 million in the cap. And when we're talking about the cap hit, I'm also thinking, as we're shedding cap dollars and we're bringing in some of these signings, I still see there's room for AJ Brown, and there's even a room for, if you do want to, Philly, you get my number 1 and number 2. I'm gonna give you guys a couple 2s and a 3, maybe a player in the deal for Maxx Crosby. Like, let's go balls to wall here. You know what I mean? We have options here. Now, is the Raiders gonna want to go from getting 2 number 1s to now 2 2s? Probably not. They could sit on Crosby. He said he's back and he's locked in to Raider Nation. So everybody's locked in when they're on the team. He's doing the right thing. He's under contract. Whether he wants to be out of there or not, he's still under contract, and he's acting like a professional. He's gonna show up to work, and not for nothing. Y'all just put a chip on that man's shoulder. So if I'm Vegas, maybe I do hold on to him, because now you're gonna get a Maxx Crosby that's gonna be fired up with a new head coach, a new regime, a new young quarterback coming in. That's the type of person you want in the locker room. A guy of that talent, already needing to prove himself coming off an injury, and then now he's been embarrassed on national because I was traded, then I'm not traded, and then you're telling me I'm not going to be the player that I once was? All right. We done activated some now. The Patriots agreed to a 1-year deal with linebacker KJ Britt from Miami. Details of the contract, have not seen that yet. This is a good move, right? You're getting rid of Anthony Jennings. You bring in a linebacker KJ Britt, who also has ties with Mike Vrabel. He's that's the type of player that we're looking for. I'm not saying that Anthony Jennings was a bad fit. I just think that salary cap was a reason, and now we got to fill that hole. This fills that hole perfectly. We also agreed to terms with safety Kevin Byard III on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Again, we lose Hawkins to the Chiefs. He signs with the Chiefs. You go ahead and you bring in an all-pro safety. Yes, he's older. I liked what Hawkins did for us last year. I think he would have developed very well in our system, but he chose to go to the Chiefs. I don't know what we was offering him, but end of the day, wish him nothing but the best. He was a great Patriot, but you now upgrade to Bayard for a 1 year, $8 million deal. You get an all pro safety. Yes, he's older on the 30+ side, but you know what you're gonna get out of him. You also signed tight end Julian Hill after Austin Hooper signs with Atlanta for a 1 year deal. Honestly, guys, I always be forgetting Austin Hooper still plays on this team. So for me, you walking out the door, the headline broke, I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember Austin Hooper until the random once in a while touchdowns that he would score. I don't know if I just don't feel as though he ever fit well into our system. Um, yeah, it is what it is. So we go out there, we get a tight end. This draft class is heavy on wide receivers, heavy on tight ends. I'm pretty sure we're gonna grab at least one of those in the later rounds. Our wide receiver room is very young. You're developing those. That's why I'm still waiting for that AJ Brown signing. Don't be afraid of it. Again, talking about some of our key free agents that walked out the door. I don't think we signed any of our own free agents. I think they all walked out the door. I might be wrong on that one, but I know Tonga, he left to go to the Chiefs. Hawkins left to go to the Chiefs as well. Linebacker, like I said, Chaseon, he went to the Commanders, and Austin Hooper's head back to Atlanta on a 1 year deal. That's what the Patriots did. Again, I'm not mad at these moves that the Patriots are doing. I feel as though the trades that they've made, they either plugged a hole where somebody walked out the door, or they also upgraded, right? I don't feel as though we've done anything where we regressed yet. I'm still waiting and there's no disrespect to Dobbs. I think Dobbs is a great pickup for us. I think he's equal to, Diggs had 1,000-yard receiving year last year. I believe Diggs had 1,000-yard receiving year for us last year. Dobbs, I think, had just under 700 yards last year, which is not bad, right? Especially when you're talking about he was in a system that focused more on Watson and the tight ends, and they had a running game. So to get 700 yards is respectable. I think in our system, he's one of those versatile wide receivers that you could play the X, Y, or the outside, So, and you could put him out of the backfield. So pairing him up with Josh McDaniels does help us in the long run of things. But I am still waiting for that true number one on the outside. Let's jump over to see a couple of free agency moves that was happening around the league. That, again, guys, so many things was happening. I probably missed a bunch. These are some of the ones that just caught my eye that I feel as though are franchise-altering deals. First and foremost, this one not only shapes their franchise, I think it shapes the Patriots franchise at the same time. The Rams not only traded for Trent McDuffie, they also gave him a 4-year, $124 million deal, making him the highest-paid defensive back. That affects the Patriots, in my opinion, because we're about to go into negotiations with Gonzo. So now the floor is set, $124 million. So you never want to be second to the party. I wish we would have locked up Gonzo's deal earlier, because he is worth that type of money, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. The Rams also bring Jalen Watson III. Jalen Watson on a 3 years, $54 million deal. Honestly, guys, one of the biggest weaknesses for the Rams last season was their secondary and was their special teams. And two moves, they fixed their defensive woes. And I feel as though in-house you could fix that special team blunder that was going on. The Rams, for me, sneaky. I see you. And you got Matthew Stafford coming back in what potentially might be his last year in football. You already gave him his Lifetime Achievement Award last season, so he just needs that last one. He already got one championship under his belt. Matthew Stafford is that dude. But yeah. The Dolphins released Tua, guys. Dolphins released Tua and taking a $99 million cap hit. And he's headed to Atlanta. He signs a 1-year deal to go to Atlanta. I think that's a good move for him. I think it's a good move for Atlanta. I think it's something where you're gonna get Michael Penix to either get better and get on the field. For Tua, you get 1 year to show yourself up and probably go back out into the market the following year. For a team that's probably, there are always going to be teams that need quarterbacks. Always going to be teams that need quarterbacks or looking for that next guy. This is your chance, Tua, to turn the narrative around for yourself. But I do say this: $99 million cap hit. Yes, you can spread it across. I think you can spread it across 2 years. That's still $50 million. You only have $301 million to play around with, and $50 million walked out the door. Do you know how bad it is? First of all, this is the record that's ever been set for dead cap hit money. They literally said, we'd rather spend $100 million to get rid of you than to have you here. I'm baffled. I know Tua couldn't stay on the field. The new regime and they're changing things. I get it, but that's a lot of dead money. To me, I mean, to billionaires, maybe it's not, but to me, that's a lot of dead money. It's also a lot of dead money when you're trying to build a team also. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But moving on, the Jets acquire safety Micah Fitzpatrick for a 7th-round pick and will give him a 3-year, $40 million deal. The Cowboys acquire defensive end Rashawn Gary from the Packers for a late-round pick in 27. Again, 27 is that draft class that a lot of people are trying to get into. The Cowboys was in the Maxx Crosby race. From what I was hearing, they was offering a 1 and a 2 for Maxx Crosby, and then the Baltimore Ravens came in and gave him 2 number ones. Some are saying that, those teams that were in on Maxx Crosby, now's your chance to try to get back into it. The Cowboys, I don't know what their cap situation looked like. People were saying, well, maybe you cancel the deal with the Packers and go after Maxx Crosby now that you know what it's worth, still offering that 1 and a 2. I don't know if I would do that. I would try to see, isn't it always good to have two than one? Why not? Dallas, your offense was clicking last year. It was your defense that was letting you down. So you have a new guy coming in. Why not go, if you can, acquire both? Why not? You haven't been relevant since the 90s. Yes, we talk about you all the time, but you haven't been relevant. Why not just go and split? You told us you're going to do things different this year, so I want to see it. Prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. Matter of fact, put your picks where your mouth is. Travis to return back to the Chiefs for his 14th season. He says Taylor Swift was one of the catalysts behind him returning. He's returning on a 1-year deal for $12 million with a potential earning of $15 million along the way. Outside of A.J. Brown, the big name wide receiver that was out there was Alec Pierce. We was tied to Alec Pierce. I would have loved because Alex Pierce was a free agent, so anybody could have just signed him rather than giving up picks for it. So I think a lot of teams was high on Alex Pierce, and he's worth it. It's Alec Pierce. I'm sorry. Keep saying Alex, but Alec Pierce. He ends up staying in Indianapolis on a 4-year, $160 million deal. Good for you, young man. Well worth that money. I think he is a good, deep vertical threat up the seams. You could move him around the field. He's only going to get better. So good for Indy for locking their free agent up before anybody else can. The Chiefs go ahead and keep adding to their team. They signed Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker on a 3-year, $40 million deal with $28.7 million guaranteed. That's a great move for the Chiefs. With Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes is coming back next season. We don't know what Patrick Mahomes is coming back. And after what we saw in that Super Bowl, if you get that same version, Kenneth Walker, you're getting Travis to come back. We all know that Chiefs team is that team that you don't get it, you don't understand it, but they just figure it out. And they're building something where they could just figure it out. You just need to stay competitive while Patrick is still healing up. You're probably talking about maybe, based off when the injury happened, he could come back October-ish, November, giving you enough time to really go on that playoff push. So let's see what happens. I like that signing. Panthers signed Jalen Phillips to a 4-year, $120 million deal. The Dolphins, after getting rid of Tua, they bring in quarterback Malik Willis on a 3-year, $67.5 million deals with $45 million guaranteed. That's a great pickup. Malik Willis was the main target outside of, I think, Mac Jones was the backup quarterbacks that a lot of teams was looking and eyeing on. Outside of those that were going to get released, the Tuas, the Kyler Murrays, and Kirk Cousins, I think Malik Willis going to the Dolphins in our division is going to be annoying. I think he's going to make some splashes with the Dolphins, but we still got to see what the team looks like when this is all said and done. Pro Bowl center Tyler Linderbaum heading to the Raiders for a 3-year, $81 million deal, $60 million guaranteed. Listen, you got a young quarterback coming in. You want to shore up that offensive line. You last thing you want to do is have a situation where you burn out. What was that quarterback's name that was in Indy? The number 1 pick, and after a few years he just retired. I can't remember his name for nothing. But you don't want that situation when you got Mendoza coming in this offseason. Vegas is trying to build something right. They're doing some great signings. They know they got the draft picks. Well, they thought they had a number 1 and number 14, so now they're back to the drawing board. You know where they're going with the number 1. Maybe they still got some deals to be made where they can go grab some more picks. We'll see what happens. Maybe they actually still move on from Travis and grab another pick this year. Former Jaguars running back Travis Etienne is signing with the Saints on a 4-year, $52 million deal. We're going to see what happens with Kamara with this signing. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Are they going to release him? More to be said on that one. The Titans are signing former Giants receiver Wan'Dale Robinson to a 4-year, $78 million, $38 million guaranteed. Crazy signing. But this move right here really caught my eye. 49ers land Mike Evans on a 3-year deal, leaving the Bucks for $60 million with $16.3 million guaranteed. Love this pickup for the 49ers. You're thinking about a team for the 49ers that overachieve. You just lost your best offensive weapon to an Achilles tear, so he's pretty much done for the season. This is a big pickup for you, with what you did last year, and you go get Mike Evans. I believe you can make a run, especially in your division. We saw how close that division was between Seattle, and the Rams. So you had to go out there and go do something. Ayuk didn't play it down for you last season, so you always needed that wide receiver, and you locking them up for 3 years. 3 years, that means the following year you're gonna get back your superstar tight end, and you could keep building and staying competitive all at the same time. With Mike Shanahan, I believe had one of his best coaching. If he had won Coach of the Year over Mike Vrabel, I would not even have been mad at it. And in that same division, wide receiver Rashid Shaheed returning to the Seahawks on a 3-year, $51 million deal, $34.7 million fully guaranteed. That's a great pickup for them. Rashid Shaheed, after being traded, was a key component to them actually winning it all last year through special teams and some crucial catches in the season as well. The Steelers go ahead and sign a running back, Rico Dowdle, on a 2-year, $12 million deal. The Raiders are trading Geno Smith and a 2026 7th round to the Jets for a 2026 6th round pick, reuniting the former quarterback 9 years later who was drafted by the Jets. So now you're talking about, in our division, we have the Jets with Geno Smith. Miami signed Malik Willis. We have Geno Smith with the Jets and Josh Allen. All right. Okay. We got some competition going on in here. I still need to see what else the Jets got to do before I really take that serious. But, right now it's still us in Buffalo, and now I want to see what Miami does. I like the Willis signing. It could change some things in the division, make it actually competitive. But yeah, like I reported earlier, Chase Young is leaving New England for the Commanders on a 1-year, $11 million deal. The Indianapolis Colts keep hold of Danny Dimes for 2 years, $88 million to stay in Indianapolis. The Steelers trade for wide receiver Michael Pittman. to Indianapolis for a 2026 sixth-round pick and will give him 3 years, $59 million. The Giants are signing tight end Likely from Baltimore for 3 years, $40 million. The Pittman move with the Steelers, I'm still watching the Steelers, and it seems like they're waiting around for Aaron Rodgers. Me personally, I'm calling phone. I'm picking up, hey, Kirk Cousins, you still trying to play football or not? I'm not waiting for Aaron Rodgers. I need to know what I got at quarterback, so when I go into this draft, I realize what I have. Because right now, obviously, you're in a bridge year anyways. You told us that you're still waiting for a 41-year-old quarterback. So obviously, you're not happy with what you have right now, or maybe you're still trying to develop it, but you want to still win right now. I think the thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they just need to realize that they are in rebuild mode, and the quicker they could really sit there and say, all right, we're in rebuild mode, let's figure this thing out, they're going to be struggling for a while. My opinion. That's just my God's honest opinion, especially if you keep waiting around for Aaron Rodgers every year. Commanders did another great pickup, not only by bringing on Chasey, they signed defensive end Owa for a 4-year, $100 million deal. The Commanders with Jaden Daniels coming back next year, they're building something on defense where they could get the ball back and put it in that young man's hand. Where a healthy Jaden Daniels is gonna be scary and something that the league will have to pay attention to. Last few things that came across this board: Bills trade for wide receiver DJ Moore for a 2026 5th-round pick and a 2026 2nd-round pick. Great pickup for the Bills. They like us needed a wide receiver threat on the outside. DJ Moore had a great campaign in Chicago. Damn near a highlight reel while he was out there. Great pickup for Josh Allen. Listen, you go and say that the coach was a problem. You're changing the regime. You bring in the coach that your Josh Allen wanted and needed. So you got to make sure this thing works. Lions trade Montgomery to the Texans for guard Juice Suggs, 2026 4th rounder and 2027 7th rounder. And then they turn around and sign running back Pacheco from the Chiefs on a 1-year deal worth about just under $2 million. Those are some of the deals that I've seen that came across my phone. Like I said, guys, there's probably some deals out there that I did miss along the way. So much was flooding in. Some of them being tweeted out for people that I don't follow. So be on the lookout. I'm going to wait to see how the dust settles with free agency and all that other stuff. But I'm liking some of the moves that some of these teams are making, to include my Patriots. I'm really liking it. I don't see some of these top teams, even in Seattle, they've lost a couple players, but it's not enough to where you're sounding the alarm. Philly, we still got to figure out what you're doing with this AJ Brown situation, but you're losing a bunch of defense. I saw Cooper DeJean left, but I saw it so fast and I don't know where I saw that, so I could never find that story. That's a loss. I think he went to the Texans. The Texans are getting better, guys, and you saw what they could do with that defense. And if they figure it out at quarterback, that's gonna be a scary team right there. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But that's what I got for you guys in the King of Sports segment. Let's jump out of it because we still got other things to talk about and a lot to cover in the world of basketball too. But before we do that, let's jump beyond the lines. Beyond the lines, really quick. Badia wins the Arnold Palmer Invitational in a playoff. Guys, that was kind of exciting. It came down to the last hole, and Badia ends up winning that one to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational. This week kicks off one of our favorite ones. The Players Championship kicks off this week. Today, actually, it kicks off. And the dreaded par 3, number 17. The one hole that changes everything with just one swing, guys. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, the par 3, 17, it's a hole. It's a par 3 hole, guys. It seems very simple. But the slopes that it is, if you hit it wrong, you got balls start sliding, and we all sit there with bated breath, and we watch. It either sits and waits or it falls into the water. When it falls into the water, guys, that's when you see things change. Leaderboards change. People that were in the hunt. I've seen 1 year, was it last year or the year before last? One guy, 5 times, either 4 or 5 times, the ball went into the water. At that point, just give up. Just take the max on the hole, man. But they don't do that. And we do that. Like, just take the max. When it goes too wrong, just take the max and walk away. Live to fight another day, because I ain't losing that much balls, guys. But that's what I got for you guys in Beyond the Lines. Let's just jump right into Campus Legends. A lot happening in the world of college basketball. This Sunday, the brackets will be released. We're in championship week. I'm excited about this. This is when things start to get very interesting. Who's on the bubble? Who's not on the bubble? But on the women's side, let's run through this. Who won a couple titles? Gonzaga wins the WCC title over Oregon State, 76-66. My UConn Huskies win the Big East title for the 24th time over Villanova in a remove all doubt type win, 90-51. The Green Bay wins the Horizon title over Youngstown, 57-49. Fairfield beats Quinnipiac for the third straight MAAC title, 51-44. Colorado State wins the Mountain West Championship, beating the Air Force 56-42. And number 4 Texas wins the SEC title after beating who? Why did it just cut out like that? You know what? They won the SEC title, guys. That's on the women's side. The men's, they're still playing. They should be all wrapped up here in the next few days. And then we get to see the brackets. This is when it gets interesting. I'm going to probably fill out. How many do I usually fill out? I probably fill out like 3 or 4 brackets every year. Like one that I really believe in. And then I have my upset bracket. Then I have the, maybe a few upsets, but let's be realistic type. On the women's side, it's usually very few upsets, guys. Like until we get to like the Elite 8, that's when Sweet 16 sometimes as well. But like most women's brackets, you last to at least a Sweet 16. Very rarely do you lose. Like on the guy side, day one, where brackets are in trash sometimes. But congratulations to all those women that won their league titles this past week, and we'll see who brings in some type of stuff next week on the men's side. But let's run through a couple scores that I have going on for you guys on Tuesday. UCLA beats number 9 Nebraska 72-52. You guys know I don't run down all the scores. It's just the teams that I feel as though are ranked teams and they lose into unranked teams or stunners or upsets. Those are the ones I want to report on, especially going into March Madness, because it does affect where you fall in that seeding. Who's in, who's out. Bubble watch is happening right now. TCU beats number 10 Texas Tech 73-65. Arizona beats number 14 Kansas 70-60. Georgia takes down number 16 Alabama 98-88, while number 19 Miami Ohio still remains unbeaten at 30-0 after beating Toledo 74-72. Just like that, from Tuesday we jump right into Friday. The only thing I have for you guys on this one is Miami Ohio stays unbeaten on the season, goes 31-0 after beating Ohio in overtime 110-108. Woo, it got very tight on that one. I even tuned in just to watch to see, like, are they gonna keep this streak alive? Are they not gonna keep this streak alive? They did in overtime. They play great. They play great ball. I see them getting into the tournament. I don't think they would be a first round exit. But depending on where they fall in what bracket matchup will dictate how far they'll go, to be completely honest. Jumping into Saturday, number 4 UConn, my UConn Huskies get stunned by Marquette 68-62. BYU beats number 10 Texas Tech 82-76. Great win for BYU and AJ Dabanska and crew. I've been waiting for that signature win. It seems like when they going against better talent or higher ranked teams, they struggled a little bit throughout the season, and they figured it out. Not like they blew somebody out, but they beat a top 10 team, beating Texas Tech 82-76. Number 15 Purdue goes down to Wisconsin 97-93 in a stunner. Louisville beats number 22 Miami 92-89, and George Mason beats down number 25 St. Louis 86-57. Let's go ahead and check out to see where this leaves us on rankings. Jumping over to the rankings, where we want to start. Let's start on the men's side. I'm going to give you the top 10. Top 10, number 1, Duke. Number 2, Arizona Wildcats. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, Florida. Number 5, Houston. My UConn Huskies dropped down 2 to number 6. And number 7, you got Iowa State. Number 8, you got Michigan State. And then number 9, Illinois. And rounding out the top 10 is the Virginia at 10. And on the women's side, we got my UConn Huskies. They lost a couple of votes. It wasn't unanimous this week. They got 28 first place votes out of the 31. They still remain at number 1 with a record of 33-0. UCLA right behind them at 31-1. Number 3, Texas at 31-3. Number 4, South Carolina at 31-3. LSU is at number 5, 27-5. Vanderbilt at number 6 at 27-4. Iowa is in at 7, 26-6. Duke is in at 8 at 24-8. And Michigan's in at 9 at 25-6. And you round out the top 10 with Oklahoma in at 24-7. And that is your campus legends, y'all. Let's jump right into this court vision. We starting off right out the top. Court vision. What's up? What's up with Bam Adebayo? First of all, congratulations. Anytime you see somebody that's going to put up points and put yourself in the record books, it's pause. I was watching the Celtics game and they cut off to watch the last few minutes of the Miami game because he was on the push for the record, closing in on Kobe's 81. He does score 83 in that game, put him at number 2 behind Wilt. 100 point game. They beat Washington 150-129. I want to say I'm a firm believer. If there's a record to be taken, go and take it. I'm a firm believer of that. Some are mad the way it happened. And I remember watching the last few minutes. It did look a little crazy. It did look circusy. We all knew what was happening. You know, Washington at one point started saying, screw this, you're not going to get the record on us. So they started playing little games. They was like, we don't care who else scores, you're just not scoring. And to the point where they was literally sending 3 bodies at this man. And for me, to watch Bam Adebayo be throwing one-legged threes in motion with 3 guys on him, I'm like, all right, I get it. I would have passed out of it and then dashed down to baseline, grab her and have him send it back into me and keep sending me to the foul line. Just keep sending me to the foul line. You was close. I'm not mad at it. Some people are really mad in the way it was happening. It made it look very circusy and gimmicky. Guys, I don't care. The man scored 83 points in the game. To be completely honest, I would say 72, 77 points were like legitimate. Like Washington just could not stop him. It was just those last few to get him over. And I think two of them came at the free throw line. So that passed to Kobe because I think he was tied at 81, and 2 happened at the free throw line. That legitimately happened. He was at the baseline. He got fouled. They put him on there. Yeah, what's legit, what's not legit, that's not for me to say, guys. I could care less. The man broke a record. I'm a Kobe guy. I'm not offended by it like the Lakers were. When they announced it in the Lakers, the announcers sound all morbid and like he's announcing somebody that passed away. Guys, it's not that deep. Records are meant to be broken. Just because you don't like how it was done, it was done. People want to compare Kobe's to Bam's, and this was straight up, and Kobe scored the 81 straight up. Yo, he scored 70. I'll give him about 72 to 77. Legit scored by himself. You could not stop me. I mean, it is what it is. And then I think he had 8 threes in the game too. Stop. I mean, earned it. Let's get out our feelings. Congratulate that man. Congratulations to the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. I honestly believe the only reason why it happened is because Asia Wilson was in the building and she came to support you. And that is the GOAT of my top 10 GOAT list. So, yeah, you had to show up and show out. And the GOAT's watching. Moving on, the NBA canceled Magic City night for Atlanta Hawks. It was scheduled to be on March 16 versus Orlando Magic, but apparently Adam Silver and crew said, nah, not so fast. What are we doing? For me personally, I don't know what the big uproar was. It was a partnership thing. I didn't think that it was bringing dancers to do the halftime show or something. Like, it's still Ti performing at the halftime. It was just, I mean, I get because they're promoting Magic City, a adult gentlemen's club. I mean, it's still there. We know the players frequent it. We know players from other teams frequent it when they come to the thing. They talk about it on radio. They talk about it on social media. Like, we can't be too clutching of our pearls. But I mean, it's $1 billion business. You gotta make some decisions. It is what it is. I thought it was cool. You know what I mean? You're promoting something that's the heart of the city, but it is what it is. I don't make those decisions. After 12 hours of negotiations, there's still no deal in the WNBA, guys. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out because it looks like we're marching towards where the league is not gonna start on time. I don't like it. I don't like it not one bit. I'm supposed to be in Vegas for Banner Unveil for Asia Wilson. Come on, man, get the shit together. Last bit of news I have for you guys in the headlines that's going to affect not only the team but playoff seedings and other things. Tyrese Maxey is out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks with just, I believe, 5 weeks left on the season. They're saying it's a tendon in his hand. I don't know, guys. Philly was sitting there looking pretty, but you're talking about 3 weeks. It's gonna be tough for them to. They was already sliding down in the I don't know, man. 3 weeks out. 3 weeks. That means, let's see, Detroit, Brooklyn, Portland, Denver, Sacramento, Utah, OKC, Chicago, Charlotte, Miami. You got a lot of winnable games on there, but we all know sometimes it might look like a winnable game, but it ain't on your bingo card. Maybe they stay afloat, but right now they're a playing team, and if you keep dropping, you might. I mean, I don't see you dropping out of the play-in because that's how bad these bottom half teams are. But yeah, it's gonna be a blow. I think they can keep the ship afloat, but we saw in some of these games when you lose Maxey, it doesn't look right. But with that being said, let's just jump into the scores rundown, man. This past week, 2 weeks in a row, guys. 2 weeks in a row, I went 11-6. I'm chipping away at this. My goal is to just be at 500 or better. I want to get 500 or better over in the NBA games that I'm picking. So on Tuesday's games, you saw the Pistons lose to the Cavs, 113 and 109. I like the Pistons team. I just feel as though in watching their last few games, they need a second option. They need more shooters. They're still a playoff team. I don't see them going too far. I think the roster is about a year away in construction. Kate Cunningham is playing one of his best ball situations, but losing Schroeder, losing what's the kid, the shooter? I forgot his name. I think they had some key losses that would have been very pivotal for them this season. But it is what it is. They're still number one in the East. They're going on a little 4-game losing streak as of late, and they're allowing the Celtics to close that gap on them. When I ran through all the games, y'all know I'm not good at picking these anyways, but based off of what I've seen, wins and losses, I still see them hanging on to the number one seed by at least a game, maybe half a game type situation. But only time will tell. The Spurs beat the 76ers in beatdown fashion. I mean, they didn't know Maxey. I think their top 4 scorers was out in this game, so take it for a grain of salt. But the Spurs just keep rolling, 131 and 91. In the Wednesday games that I had on my slate, the Thunder take care of the Knicks 103 to 100, and the Celtics get beat down by the Hornets. That was not on my fucking bingo card. They lose that one 118 to 89. Honestly, them losing in that fashion, I think, even though I think, okay, I think Jayson Tatum was going to come back regardless on the Dallas game. But it made the window even a bigger opportunity. It was like, all right, cool. Because I've heard other athletes say this before as well. When a team is surging and streaking, they're not trying to come in. And even though they're not going to disrupt, I don't think a JT is going to disrupt. I think he elevates them. But like, you don't want to be coming in and then you go on a little losing streak and everybody's like, well, the only thing that changes is you got added, right? And I think that's what I was trying to avoid to happen, because I saw, like, I didn't see us getting beat down by the Hornets. I felt as though we was going to win that game. Then we was going to have a 3-game stretch. It was going to be home to Dallas, go on a 3-game stretch. It's going to be a little bit difficult when you got Cavs, you got the Spurs, you got the Thunder. Then you come back home for the Wizards. Then you face the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I felt as though, like, it was going to be a bit of a gauntlet. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to come back. But losing like in that fashion, it's like, all right, cool, I could return. I think it kind of solidified that one. Moving on to the Thursday games, the Warriors outlast the Rockets 115-113. The Spurs again take care of business against the Pistons in a beatdown fashion, 121-106. The Spurs are. I've been saying it for the past few Lucky Sevens rankings. I've had them as the number one in the West. In my opinion, I have them coming out of the West. We'll see if I still have that same situation on today's episode. But the Spurs have their cheat code. It's Wemby. So long as Wemby, we've seen big men before. That's not an anomaly, but we've never seen a big man that's this versatile. I think that's the problem. When we used to call KP the unicorn for a reason, because we never saw that before. You tell me you can stretch the floor and then you're just gonna be crashing boards, like, and then you're talking about Vaselli, you're talking about Castle, you're talking about Fox, you're talking about the other role players on that team. It's like they got a lot that they could throw at you, and they play defense. That's the thing that people don't realize. When the Celtics went on their run, defense is what leads us. We lead off of defense, and then we bludgeon you with threes. The San Antonio Spurs, they don't even got to bludgeon you with threes. We're just going to fucking go in the middle, and then we're going to sprinkle a couple threes along the way. It's going to be a hard team to beat. Because when you look at the Celtics and the OKC Thunder, the past 2 winners, it's defensive-led teams that will then, and they're deep on their bench that could come at you and just be throwing all types of different schemes at you. And they're going to play, everybody from 1 through 14 is playing defense, and they move the ball on a string, and they got their star players. They got their 1 and 2 combo, and then they could go on the inside. They go outside. The Spurs, I don't know how you beat the alien. But they are beatable. They are beatable. Let's move into the Friday games. When the return of Jayson Tatum, they take care of business over the Mavericks, 120-100. I already gave you the stats earlier in the day. Jayson Tatum came in there, and he looked like Jayson Tatum. Flirted with a triple-double. And then, yeah, he looked good. Granted, Mavericks was coming off of a back-to-back. Cooper Flag didn't play his best game, but, you know, it's Jayson Tatum's night. We're in Boston. I know there was a return of Coop back to the region, but Jayson Tatum's night, all right? The Knicks bully the Nuggets 142-103. I am so sick of the Knicks, guys. I am super sick of them. Like, how is it that you could bully the Denver Nuggets, but then you turn around and lose to some team that you should not be losing to? This roller coaster ride that you keep me on is ridiculous. Every week I come on here and I say the same thing. This is the Knicks that I was expecting. This is the Knicks that should have been on top of the East with a 5-6 game lead, just cruising into the playoffs, and let's see if we get to this finals. But you leave the door open. You play this roller coaster ride when we don't know what we're gonna get, and this is what happened. The Spurs keep rolling through the league, beating the Clippers 116-112. Coming back from being down 18, guys. And the Clippers had a chance to close it out. At least 2-3 times they had a chance to close it out and just could not get right. And there was one play when I went back, I heard somebody else break down the film, and I went back and I caught a quick highlight of it. And it was true. It was like Batum, maybe it's because he plays with him in France, he allowed Victor's presence Nowhere near the play. He allowed his presence to dictate what was going to happen, and then throws the ball out of bounds. Moving on. Saturday's games, we had the Thunder beat the Warriors 104-97. The Pistons without Cade end up losing to the Nets 107-105. That was not on my bingo card. This was not one of the games that I had on my list, so do not hold that one against me. That's not part of my 11-6 record for this past week. I just had to bring this up because you mean to tell me you can't rest your player to beat the Nets? But yet you're trying to tell me that you're ready to go and make a deep playoff run? That's the stuff that I'm talking about. You can't sit your best player and win a meaningless game against one of the worst teams in the league that's probably trying to tank at this point. Which you never. Moving on to the Sunday's game, the Celtics went on the road in a statement win, 125-116 over the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was a good game. The Cavs played us well. We played well. It was one of those things. The score says 125-116. Every time the Cavs would bring it back in, the Celtics go on a run. They bring it back and the Celtics go on another run. And it wasn't just by one player. JT looked great. JB looked great. We knew that was going to happen. D. White was doing his thing. Peyton Pritchard woke up. Sam Hauser was doing good. Shireman was looking good. It was like the Celtics, and this is not me being a homer. I'm going to remove the hat for a second. This is not me being a homer. The Celtics is a dangerous team. They play defense. They play team ball. And everybody knows their roles and plays it. And then we're not even at 100% JT yet. And JB took his level to another level this season. I've been a JB fan since he came into this league. Me personally, that's my favorite player on the Celtics, slightly over Jayson Tatum. And it goes back and forth. But because he plays defense, he's the best two-way player in the league. That is my favorite player. I think it's my wife's favorite player also. And she crushes on him a little bit too much for my liking. But it's cool. I get it. But I'm sitting here, I'm like, JB is playing at an MVP caliber season. And then you got a JT that's, call it 80% himself. Because his shots are still not falling the way we want to be falling. He's still getting his rhythm into the thing. But even with him getting to the rhythm, we're talking about 24 points in 27 minutes. He's still grabbing 10, 12 rebounds in 27 minutes. He's still facilitating 6 or 7 assists. Y'all better stop playing with my Celtics now. Y'all left us for dead. I love it. We're here. I've been telling y'all all season. The Lakers beat the Knicks 110-97 without LeBron. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what I'm talking about. You beat down on the Denver Nuggets that plays good defense, that could score, that has arguably one of the best players in the world. Then you turn around. Yes, the Lakers have a generational talent in Luka Doncic, but where's the defense on this team that you can't beat this team? You go out and lose 110-97. I just don't understand it. The Heat beat the Pistons 121-110, losing their 4th game in a row, allowing the Celtics to close the gap by 2.5 games. Guys, the Pistons, they picked the wrong time to start going in the wrong direction. Not with Jayson Tatum coming back. Maybe Jayson Tatum is played some mind games on them, and this is what the situation is right now. Moving into the Monday game, the Cavs take care of business over the 76ers without their top 4 scorers, 115-101. The Nuggets fight hard in a game that they could have won against the Thunder, but fall short, 129-126. That was a great game, guys. And what some would like to believe is the MVP game. I think right now it's the number 1 and number 2 people for the MVP race playing in this game. I think Jalen Brown should be a whole lot higher on that list. I think Jalen Brown should be 1 or if not 2. I think that San Antonio game would have put him higher on people's radars, maybe in the top 3. Me personally, he's top 3 right now, if not number 1. But Joker had a triple-double, 35, 14, and 13. SGA had almost a triple-double with 35, 9, and 15. I get it. The numbers tell you these are MVP guys. Rant later on, so let's just keep going. Knicks keep the roller coaster going with a loss to the Clippers, 126-118. That's my scores rundown for you guys. Oh no, it's not my scores right now because we recorded a little bit later because I wanted to see another game. The national game that happened that the past few weeks I've said have been calling for is my NBA finals. Happened on Tuesday night. The San Antonio Spurs versus the Celtics in primetime, national televised game. The Spurs end up outlasting the Celtics 125 to 116. But let's be completely honest. For those of you guys that don't like the Celtics and don't want to believe what I've been telling you, you have a Jayson Tatum that's in his third game back, who had an amazing game. But Jalen Brown gets ejected after 15 minutes, who in that 15 minutes was putting on an MVP type show going against Wembanyama because he understands in order for him to get you people to actually take him serious and vote for him, even though we all know what we know, these are the games where he would have to show up and show out. And he was doing that. And some referee decided that he can't be in the game anymore. We had no Peyton Pritchard. We have no Vucevic. And you mean to tell me that we brought it within one? Don't let the score fool you. The Celtics was about to win this game. The Celtics could have won this game. A healthy Celtics going against this San Antonio Spurs. I saw what we was doing to that San Antonio Spurs. JB going directly at Wembanyama and actually scoring. We have the shooting capability to pull you guys out. We was moving Wemby across the floor where you're not as effectively defense around the rim. Come on now. But you did what you did. You won the game, 125 to 116. And right now, let's not be honest, you're the hottest team in the league right now. With that win, I believe you was 16-1 in the last 17 games that you played. So kudos to you, man. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing out in San Antonio. And I can't wait to see my NBA Finals preview: Celtics versus the Spurs. Spoiler, I'm still picking that. But you're gonna get my lucky 7 list later on. But I'm still picking that after what I've seen. In a nightcap game, the Wolves traveled to play the LeBron-less Lakers, and Luka drops 31 points in a triple double with Austin Reeves dropping his own 31 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Not a great performance by Ant-Man. 14 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. That's not gonna happen all the time. So the Lakers did what they were supposed to do. They won a game against conference foe who's surging, and the Lakers want to make sure that they stay out of that play-in. So let's talk about these rankings, where we stand in the Eastern Conference. You got the Detroit Pistons at 46-18. The Celtics with the loss now is 3 games behind the Detroit Pistons, 3.5 games behind the Detroit Pistons at 43-22. The New York Knicks are behind the Celtics at the number 3 spot at 41-25. The Cavs falling at number 4 at 40-25. The Toronto Raptors are in at 5 at 36-28. The Miami Heat are in at 6, 37-29. Orlando Magic coming at 7 at 35-28. The Philadelphia 76ers, they're going in the wrong direction, guys. They're now in 8 at 35-30. With 1 game separating them from number 9 with the Atlanta Hawks at 34-31, and the Hornets 2 games behind them at 33-33. And you're talking about Tyrese Maxey is out for 3 weeks. So that means you went from being a playoff team to now potentially being a number 10 team on the road to win that game, then win the next matchup to get the 8th, just to get your consolation prize to play either the Detroit Pistons or the Boston Celtics. Tough sledding. This is part of the game. Injuries happen, and they happen at the wrong times, sometimes for most teams. Let's just jump right into the Western Conference right now. In the Western Conference, the number 1 team is still Oklahoma City Thunder at 51-15. The San Antonio Spurs are on their heels at 48-17. The Rockets right behind them at 40-24. The Lakers jump into number 4 slot at 40-25. The Timberwolves move back 1 spot to number 5 at 40-25. The Denver Nuggets right behind them at 39-26 at the 6th spot, and at the 7th spot, you got the Phoenix Suns at 38-27. The Clippers are in at 8 at 32-32, and the Warriors in at 9 at 32-33. Trailblazers are in at 10 at 31-35. But the part that you really need to focus in and on, 1 and 2 is pretty much locked in. I don't think anybody's catching those two at the top. I think it's like roughly it's an 8-game lead from 2 to 3. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's about a game separator. A game to 2 games separating from 3 to 7. That's your Western Conference right there. Rockets at 3, 40 and 24. Lakers at 4 at 40 and 25. Timberwolves at 5 at 40 and 25. That's a half a game separator. That's the difference of being hosting or on the road. Then you look at 6 through 8, 40, 39, 38 is a difference. Is a difference with those 3 teams. A game, a full game. 2 games from 7 gets you into 3. It's going to be a tight race coming out of the Western Conference. These guys are going to beat each other up. And as my Boston Celtics coming out of the East, I'm all for it. Beat each other up. Take them to game 6 and 7s and all that other stuff. And by the time you get into the NBA Finals, and we take care of business in 5 or 6 in our rounds, that's one less. That's one less game per series. That's a difference maker. That's time that you could put in more work in. That's time that you're healing up guys. Vooch is gonna be back in a few weeks. That's gonna be a game changer. Because what was I complaining about early on in the season? I was all rebounding. Now JT's back. He's averaging about 8 rebounds a game. We brought in Vooch. The team together has gotten better. And you know who I love the most? Brian Sharman and D. White and Harper. Crashes like there's no tomorrow. The moment the ball goes up, those 3 are flying in there, getting extra possessions. That's what I love about Josh Hart and the New York Knicks. They crash like there's no tomorrow. They're grabbing boards and giving themselves 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th opportunities. So that's where we sit right now. Let's jump to see where I have everybody in my Lucky 7's top ranking this week. At number 7, I have one of the most scariest teams out in the West because they have arguably one of the best players, the MVP candidate. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Denver Nuggets in at number 7 this week. They didn't do enough. They didn't do bad to me to drop them out. I be conflicted at the bottom of this list. At the top of the list is pretty much a lock for me, but at the bottom of the list it's usually like, do I like this team a little bit more or not? Even in going into number 6 team, I like the way this team is. I kept them on only because I don't feel as though a team overtook them. At number 6, I'm gonna put the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think Ant-Man, he's the type of player that he cruises through the regular season, and then once it's time to ramp it up, he just goes to another level. And Ant-Man at another level is going to be scary for the league because they're the type of people, they don't care if they're the lowest seed coming in the road. I think they relish on it. They love coming into your house and then taking it from you when you think you had it. So let's see what happens there. At number 5, I got the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was in a little turmoil. I feel as though that they should have been at 4, but I like the number 4 team a slightly better. Even though the Cleveland Cavaliers, I put them at 5 because I love that team. I love the Harden pickup. The step back 3 assassin. He's a facilitator. He takes the pressure off of Donovan Mitchell. And then when we're talking about time to close out the game, you have your closer in Donovan Mitchell. Before, James Harden was being asked to be the closer because his running mate was either hurt or injured or whatever the case may be. And it always fell on James Harden. But now he has a closer, so long as Donovan Mitchell could stay healthy. And then you're talking about they have the big men that can crash boards, and as long as they're healthy, you're good to go. Everything has to play a part with being in health. We all know this. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, the pickups that I loved even more for the Cleveland Cavaliers and why I'm still high on them is the Dennis Schroeder and the Keon Ellis. Because when it's time to go play the New Yorks and the Bostons of the world, You're going to need those harassing defenders that's just going to annoy the JBs, the JTs, the Jalen Brunsons, the Cat Williams, those defenders that are picking up 90 feet up, and is going to change the dynamic of a game and taking and keeping the legs of a Donovan Mitchell and a James Harden fresh for when it's time to close out in the fourth quarter. I like them in that number 5. They could have easily been at number 4, but the number 4 team this week is going to be the New York Knicks. No matter how much they take me on this roller coaster ride, I still believe that the New York Knicks is one of the best teams in the East. Hands down, they're top 3 in the East, hands down. Even when they take you on this roller coaster ride, because you know the potential that they have. But it all, for some reason, they just can't put it together because it's like, if your regular season is any indication of what you're going to do in the playoffs, that means you're going to win one game, lose one game, win one game, lose one game. And then if you don't have home court advantage, then I'm going to sway the other way. So right now you're sitting in, if I'm not mistaken, you're in 4th you're in 3rd right now. So when it's all said and done, if the top 4 teams move on, then that means you got to go into Boston. Last year you did it, but I don't think Boston's going to allow you to do it again. So you need to start figuring this shit out and putting some games together, because you could easily be the 5th, if not going in either direction for me. At number 3, shaking it up. I'm dropping number 3 team this week is going to be the OKC Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder is the number 3 team to me. It's no disrespect to the defending champions, no disrespect to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and that crew. I think that is still it's still the team to beat in the West, right? They set the standard out West. But the San Antonio Spurs does have their number. The San Antonio Spurs is my pick to come out of the West because of the way matchups were going to be. I don't think the OKC Thunder going against San Antonio. Now, if somebody knocks out San Antonio before that, yeah, OKC all the way through the finals at that point. But that's why I have OKC Thunder at the 3rd. I just like the San Antonio Spurs better. So that's why they're in at 3. Number 2 team this week going into my lucky 7s is the team that I believe is going to come out of the West. It's the San Antonio Spurs. I think the San Antonio Spurs is by far the most complete, dominant team out West. Now, are they beatable? Absolutely. Do they have flaws? Absolutely. Is it injury? Is it health related? Absolutely. But even if you miss a Wembanyama for one game in an early series, maybe even 2 games, you could still win games without Wembanyama. You're just going to have to figure it out fast and in a hurry. Now, you went out and brought a Luke Cornett in there to back him up and all that other stuff. You have the depth where you could make that potentially happen. You have Plumlee on there. I think you set yourself up in the event that you don't have a Wemby for a game or 2, you could still survive. That's why I have the San Antonio Spurs in at number 2. Number 1, I don't care if they just lost to the number 2 team. It's the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, to me, what I saw in that San Antonio Spurs game, and again, next week it might change. I might put them back to number 2 after I see what I see against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But what I saw in that San Antonio Spurs game, a San Antonio Spurs that could barely get out of that game, that struggled against us with a JB that was thrown out, with a Peyton Pritchard-less team, with a Vucevic-less team, and I saw how Joe was maneuvering Wemby and calling set plays and all that other stuff, and we still don't have a healthy Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum's not 100% yet. So for me, that is the number 1 team in the league. Records be damned, because the records don't matter when we get into the playoffs. It's you versus me. What you got? 7-game series. So, with that being said, my NBA Finals pick this week is going to still be the San Antonio Spurs versus the Boston Celtics. I said what I said. I'm still standing by it. I still think those are, yes, they're number 2 in their conferences. I believe they come out. I believe the number 2 teams, if they still at number 2 when it's all said and done, I think they both can potentially try to squeeze the number 1 spot out of their conferences, but highly unlikely, but it is likely. So we'll see what happens. That's what I got for you guys in Lucky Sevens. Let's just jump right into my lineup weekly picks. Again, like I said, I went 11-6 for the second week in a row. I'm chipping away, and I'm getting close to that 500 mark. I'm overall now 47-55. So let's see what I got for you guys this week. On Wednesday, I got the Cavs at the Magic, but I'm taking the Magic in that one. Don't call me why. I just don't want to. I don't want to mess that one up. I think the Magic are gonna get it. I like the Cavs, but the Magic seem to be streaking a little bit, so I'm gonna take the Magic in that one. Then you got the Rockets at the Nuggets. Go ahead and give me the Nuggets in this one. Then the Wolves at the Clippers. I'm gonna take the Clippers. Yeah, give me the Clippers in that one. I don't know why, but go ahead and give me the Clippers in that one over the Wolves. I know I said this whole thing about this when Ant-Man starts to show up, but yeah. Thursday night games, 76ers at the Pistons. I'm taking the Pistons in that one. Tyrese Maxey's out. Come on. And I don't know if Joel Embiid is back playing yet neither. So moving on, Nuggets at the Spurs. I'm taking the Nuggets. Celtics at the Thunder. Surprise, surprise, I'm taking the Celtics. You have a pissed off JB coming back. He understands that this is the potentially last game measuring stick for him. For those that don't want to vote for him, he's going to try to force their hand and have an MVP caliber type game. I think Jayson Tatum, every game gets better. You'll have Peyton Pritchard back. I think you'll have a full on Celtics minus Vooch. Well, we're going to see how we measure up. Friday's games, there wasn't much game slated, so I chose to do what I'm going to call gimme games, where I go through and is, in theory, they should be easy wins for me, where I'm going to beef up my little play calling here. So I'm going with the Grizzlies at the Pistons. Give me the Pistons. In my second gimme game, it's the Knicks versus the Pacers. Give me the Knicks. I might be wrong with that one because the Pacers just know the Knicks very well, even without Tyrese Halliburton. But you ain't got Tyrese Halliburton, so I'm still taking the Knicks. And the last gimme game, I got the Cavs at the Mavericks. Go ahead and give me the Cavs in that one. Moving on to the Saturday games, the Wizards at the Celtics. I'm taking the Celtics. That was supposed to be my game where I thought the Jayson Tatum was going to come back. They just gave up 150 points to the Miami Heat and 83 to Bam Adebayo. Maybe this will be a 70-point game for Jalen Brown to keep going on that MVP race run, and Jayson Tatum drops 30 right behind him, and we blow him out 160-89. Moving on, the Hornets at the Spurs. I'm taking the Spurs on that one. The Nuggets at the Lakers. It says I'm taking the Lakers. I don't know why, because the Nuggets play the Lakers very well, but I'm going to stick with my pick. On the Sunday's game, the Wolves at the Thunders, I'm taking the Thunder. The Warriors at the Knicks, go ahead and give me the Knicks. The Monday games is another gimme game. Give me the Warriors at the Wizards, give me the Warriors. The Suns at the Celtics, I'm taking the Celtics. The Lakers at the Rockets, go ahead. I'm taking the Rockets on that one. The Spurs at the Clippers, I am going to take the Spurs in that one. And that's what I have for you guys this week on my picks. Hopefully I have another above 500 week, and try to keep chipping away at this bad start I had with the NBA games. It's time for the legacy moment and final word. A couple things that I want to touch on in the legacy moment and final word. First thing, my New England Patriots. AJ Brown is still out there. Let's go get him. That number one pick. I don't know who have your eye on at pick 31. Just throw that at the Philadelphia Eagles. Give them a second rounder in this year's draft or the 27 draft that everybody's trying to be in. Let's go get that true number one threat on the outside to pair up with Dobbs that you just brought in and the young guys that we already have. And I'm not out of this Maxx Crosby thing yet. It was going to be two number ones, but now it's the price is gone. Yesterday's price is not today's price, and it went in a different direction. So let's pick up the phone and see what Maxx Crosby is actually going to cost. But definitely for sure, let's pursue this AJ Brown thing. That whoever you pick at 31 is not going to be at the same type of caliber as AJ Brown. I don't care what anybody says. Next thing I got, with all that being said, what I want my Patriots to do, I think the Rams just secured themselves to win it all on next year. It was a very dangerous team. They played in a very hard division. They had the opportunity to play for the number one seed overall. They just ended up losing it in the final seconds to the Seattle Seahawks, who earned that right. But when your team is deficient in a certain area and you go out there and you go and rebuild that area, and you bring Matthew Stafford back, the storyline is just built too right. I think the Rams, who was my pick to go to the Super Bowl last year, I'm already saying in a way too early. I think the Rams are going to be in the Super Bowl next season. I think the Rams, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't it in SoFi? I think the Super Bowl is in SoFi. Yeah, man, look at that. In SoFi. And what potentially could be Matthew Stafford's last year, you already gave him his Lifetime Achievement Award this past season. So I in my way too early pick, I got the Rams coming out and going to the Super Bowl out west. I love what they did with these pickups for their team. Yeah. Way too early, but that's what I got coming out. The next thing that I have a legacy moment is NBA. Be aware and be afraid. The boogeyman's back. JT is back. In my mind, the East belongs to the Celtics right now. The Celtics will come out of the East. My humble opinion. This is not a fan talking. This is maybe 51% fan talking, 49% like looking at logic and reasoning. I think that is the best team in the East. I've been saying it all the time. If the Celtics playing the way they're playing, and Jalen Brown at MVP playing at MVP caliber, with a chip on his back, with a chip on his shoulder, just like he does every year, just like he proves you wrong every year, the Celtics will come out of the East and play in the NBA Finals. Because JT is not even all the way JT, and look what he is doing. He is terrorizing y'all already. Which leads me into my last thought and legacy moment. Jalen Brown being tossed out of the game, a national televised game. I think Jayson Tatum said it best. The league wants and has all these rules where they want players to play in games. But yet you allow these referees to assert themselves in situations that don't need to be inserted. And by referees, I'm talking about Shayash Mehta, however you say it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful in the moment. I just don't know how you say it. His last name is Mehta. You're a rookie referee by standard. The crew chief had restraint and understood the moment. In his mind, he's probably like, damn, I probably did miss that call. That's probably why he's so pissed off. You know what? I'm going to give you this one T, and I'm going to keep it moving. You want to go on a rant, your team's going to take you and going to move you on, whatever the case may be. But here you go inserting yourself in a national televised game. The NBA always wants to give out fines and all that other stuff to teams for not playing their players, not the superstars. But yet you allowing referees to throw out a superstar in a pivotal game where he's looking to solidify himself in the MVP race, looking to solidify himself as a first-team All-Pro, All-NBA, looking to solidify himself as a first-team All-Defensive player, which he should be on top 3 in all 3 of those categories this upcoming season. He already can't get the calls, and now he's on a national televised game, and he's playing bully ball against one of the best anomalies of the game right now, against the top 2 team in the West, if you let me call it, a team that they're going to see in the NBA Finals. And you're going to go and search yourself 15 minutes into a nationalized televised game, one of the biggest games that people have been marked on their calendars. Since we saw what the Spurs have been doing, since we saw what the Celtics were doing, we had it marked on our calendar. 2 games, the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder, both versus the Celtics. These are the previews that we were looking for. Outside of any combination of those 2 teams out west and the Knicks and the Cavs and maybe the Detroit Pistons, those are the games we've been watching for. Because these are the teams that we believe are going to come out of their league, out of their respective conferences. But you want to insert yourself because something that had nothing to do with you. If the crew chief decided to throw Jalen Brown and gave him the second technical and threw him out, then it'd be like, you know what? He kept barking at that dude. He didn't show restraint, whatever the case may be. He's in his feelings. He got tossed out. Fine, whatever. I'll eat that one. I would have been mad, but I wouldn't have made this my last thought of the day. What I'm mad about is, why is it that we keep picking on this man? Because, and I love Draymond Green. But I watched Draymond Green belittle referees nonstop and never get tossed out of a fucking game. It takes for him to wind up and hit another player, or you go to replay and all that stuff before he gets tossed out of the game. I watched Luka Doncic do the same thing. Cry, complain, bitch, moan. Even the two that you have in the MVP race, in Shea and Joker. Why isn't JB get that same fucking respect that everybody else gets? The crew chief gave him that respect. He was like, you know what? You're a superstar by right. I'm going to let you vent. I'm going to let you have this one. I'm going to give you the first tee, but I'm going to leave it at that. Keep venting. And eventually your team's going to pull you away, and it'll be that. And then you got this loser that had nothing to do with it. I don't even know where he came from. You're the third fucking referee. Stay in your goddamn lane. It's crazy to me. You might have cost that man the potential to actually get more number one votes and actually make this a race. It's beyond me. I just don't get it. And then the NBA is going to sit there and just watch it and allow it to happen. But yeah, you're going to turn around and go find teams for not playing their players. You're going to turn around and find players for not playing in games. Find these referees, man. Hold them accountable. Joe said it best, man. His high school principal, shout out to him. He had the balls to throw a student out of school and then leave it to a hall monitor. We had a hall monitor throw out one of the best players in the league. We had a hall monitor throw out a player that's in an MVP race with only a few key games left on his season to really show that I'm that motherfucking dude that they know that I am. That I know that he is. The best two-way player in the league. They had Kawhi up there, but it's no longer Kawhi. Kawhi's number 2. The best two-way player in this league right now is Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown all season, all his whole career, you've been telling him he's not that dude. Why? Because he won't conform to standards? I'm going over my time. I can't stay on this rant anymore. Let me gather myself. Thank you for tuning in to Please Excuse My Balls. Go ahead and subscribe to Please Excuse My Balls. If you like the episode, go ahead and hit the like button. Follow us on social media and tell me where you think I went wrong. When I'm wrong, I'll let you know. But where you think I went wrong, we could have a healthy debate. Till then, just go debate yourself. I said what I said and I meant it. It's your boy Kevin B. The Brand. Peace.